So welcome back to ScarletSprites, everybody. Today we're going to go back to taking a look at real stuff. Take a quick peek at where I'm at with the Fisherman's Bait arcade machine that I'm turning back into a G.I. Joe cabinet. For some of you who follow me on Twitter or Instagram, this might not be too surprising, but for those of you who are YouTube only, well, let's take a look. All right, first things first, if you remember from the earlier video, the control panel for this was, well, it was an X-Men 3 button, but it was turned into Fisherman's Bait. There's this big hole cut out for the controller rod, and that's just not going to work for this. So I had to get a whole new control panel top for this. I was able to save the box. So the box that the control panel rests on, that I stripped all of the paint off of, sanded it down, and gave it a new fresh coat of paint. It's by no means perfect, but it is salvageable and it is original. The control panel on top, this piece of wood here, as you can see, put the new G.I. Joe artwork across it. That is from Escape Pod. So you'll see right away that the sticks have those ball tops to it, but there is also another significant difference, which we'll take a look at here in a second. Now, these are not original Wico sticks. These are reproductions that I got from arcadeshop.com. So if we tilt the panel forward, you'll see here, so this chain and the brackets, everything inside here I was able to save. These are all original parts. But let's take a look at the actual mechanisms here on the sticks. These are called leaf switches, and these are obviously different than the micro switches that you would typically find on your HAP or IL sticks. Operationally, they're somewhat similar. The stick, you can see here, bumps against this plastic piece, which forces the two gold contacts on the end of the leaf switches to come together, and that's what triggers your button presses. So there's no real clicky feel with these. These just kind of swim around here. It's a completely different feel than what the IL or HAP sticks would offer, but I'm willing to give it a shot. The original Wico sticks, you can find them used. They're usually not too expensive, but I don't know. I just wanted to try the reproductions. They're brand new, and for the cost, I thought, yeah, we'll just give it a shot. So let's take a look at the buttons, because I cheated a little bit on this. This is what's called a Raleigh leaf switch. It's a little different than the original or reproduction leaf switches that are made for traditional leaf buttons. Now, I needed 8 of these, so hunting down 8 leaf buttons with 8 leaf holders for a wood panel. The metal ones are oddly very available, but the wood ones seem a little bit more difficult to find. And then I would have needed 8 leaf switches for each of the buttons. It was an astronomical amount of money for 8 buttons. So what the Raleigh leaf switch does is allow you to use traditional HAP or IL buttons and basically turns them into a leaf button. So you can see here it operates very similarly to what I just showed with the sticks. And that is the control panel. I'm pretty pleased with this overall. The overlay went on nicely. I like the way the white T-molding looks, the trim around this. It looks pretty sharp. The control box could be a little better, I grant you that, but I didn't feel it was worth the money to buy a reproduction or construct a new one of these, and I like saving original parts. Now, I do have a Lexan overlay for this that protects the control panel. I didn't put it on, and I'm gonna have to take the sticks back out if I want to put this on. I just haven't decided if I want to use it yet. It's not typically necessary for home use because these things don't get beat up in your house, hopefully, the way they would in an actual arcade. I have one on my Midway Sports Station. It looks pretty good, and I've gotten used to playing with it. I don't know. I'm 50-50 on this as to whether or not I'm going to put this on. And yes, over here on the floor is my bags of parts. Now, this is why I typically only keep one machine apart at a time. I work on one thing and then move on to the next. I like to bag and mark everything that I'm working on so I know what it is, and I don't have any problems understanding what screws or bolts go where. You can see I've got a whole bunch of things here, including the monitor, which I'm thankfully going to be able to put back inside the cabinet relatively soon. The monitor chassis here is completely recapped, and I did put a new flyback on it, so that's ready to go as well. So we're getting close. All right, let's talk about the cabinet itself. A huge shout out to Szabo's Arcades. He's got a fantastic video. I want to say it's like 25 minutes or so. I've watched it like 8 or 9 times, and it's how to laminate an arcade machine. The Rexer Show also did a similar video, used a slightly different process. I would recommend checking both of those out. I'm definitely not going to be able to cover this the way those two guys did, so thankfully that material is out there for references for anyone else who wants to attempt this. So if you recall, I put this orange citrus strip on the sides of the arcade cabinet and took all of the black latex paint off. It made a huge mess. Please be prepared for that if you're going to attempt something like this. There was no original artwork on the machine, which was both good and bad, I suppose, for what I wanted to do. So once I got all of that paint off of here, it was time to sand things down. I filled a few of the holes in and fixed up some of the corners and whatnot on the machine to give it a sharper look. And then it was time to do something I have never done before, and that is laminate an arcade machine and work a router. So this would have taken me 3 or 4 times as long to do had I actually filmed this whole process. So I unfortunately only have a few pictures here to show you. This is Wilsonart Laminate. I'll put a link to that in the description. Basically, they come in 4x8 sheets. They were like 55 bucks for a side, I think, when I got them. They're up to 60 now. Like, everything is going up in price, it seems. So I cut this down to size, gave myself 2 inches to spare on both top, bottom, left, and right. And then I applied some contact cement to the side and some contact cement to the laminate. Stuck this on, rolled it on with a J-roller, just like Szabo and the Rexer Show did, and then routed this. I'm gonna shoot you straight. The right side is not as sharp as the left side is because, well, I'd never done this before. I haven't worked a router, I don't think, since wood shop, maybe in 6th or 7th grade. So my routing skills or my carpentry skills leave a little to be desired. It's not my favorite part of working on an arcade machine, but I did nail the left side. I thought that the left side turned out really well. I've got some sharp corners here. Where the control panel rests, you can kind of see where I had to do some turns, and you know, if you use the right bit and the bit is set correctly, to the correct height that is, you won't have any problems with this. That's the issue I had with the right side and going through some of the laminate, and I just didn't corner very well because the bit wasn't sitting where it needed to. And once I figured that out, and it was a smooth ride here on the left side. And overall, this looks amazing, really. Like, the laminate really freshens up the look of the cabinet, and it gives you a completely smooth surface to put the vinyl artwork down on, so you don't have those dings or bumps or uneven surfaces like you might on the wood. This just makes everything flat and smooth for you, and hopefully the art goes on really easily now. I thought about getting adventurous and using one of the scrap pieces of laminate I had to do the front where the coin doors go, but I chickened out. I did paint this. It looks pretty good, and actually it matches the control box now too. And the laminate on the left and right sides will be covered up anyways, so I don't know. I think this is probably fine. You know, the perfectionist may want to laminate all of this and make it look smooth and black, but leaving it the way it is does give the cabinet a little bit more of the original wood charm, but I don't think you can go wrong either way. So by the time you're watching this, it'll be about the time I'm applying the artwork to the sides of this. I did need to get a new X-Acto knife blade. After doing the control panel, my blade felt a little dull. I don't want to screw up the artwork on the sides when I'm putting this on. It'd be an absolute disaster and the last thing I want to have happen. But overall, I think this cabinet is coming together really nicely. It's come a long way from the somewhat sad-looking Fisherman's bait cabinet that it was, and I think it's going to look really sharp as a G.I. Joe. So once the side art is on and I get the monitor installed back inside of the cabinet, it'd be time to start wiring this all back up. I did order a Konami reproduction wiring harness from Golden Age Arcade. He's a little backed up. He's completely transparent about that. Reached out, good customer service, and let me know where he's at and how long I can expect to wait to get the harness. That might slow me down just a little bit. I might be moving a little bit faster than I originally thought I would at this point. But once that gets here, it'll be time for all the finishing touches, getting this pulled back together, and showing off, hopefully, the final product to you guys. Thanks so much for checking out today's update on the G.I. Joe restoration project. Like every arcade machine I've worked on, I've added something new to my skill set. Obviously, for this one, it would be the whole laminating process and then using the router. I like to challenge myself every few months to add something like that into my repertoire because it expands what's available for me to purchase, what I feel confident or comfortable working on, and allows me to pick up some really good deals on the marketplace. Even 6 months ago, I probably would not have felt comfortable doing this. That's it for today. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will catch you all next time. Later, guys.